Hi guys, my name is Megan and today I've got some urban fantasy reading recommendations for you. Alright, so today we're talking all about some of my current favorite urban fantasy books, so let's go ahead and just dive right in. Alright, so first up we have 3 Meant to Be. This is part of one of my current favorite series. This is following Dorian Frost, who is a magical teacher at a magical high school, and it's basically a dark academia from the teacher's point of view. So Dorian shares a vision with one of his ex-partners, Milo, who they are kind of getting back together with. There's a lot of grief there, but Milo shares a vision with Dorian, and it shows Dorian that one of his students is going to die by the end of the semester. So Dorian is trying to prevent his students from getting murdered while also trying to make sure that they are prepared for the next year and even farther when they're going into the job market, while also grieving a partner of his that died 10 years before that, I think, and also trying to reconnect with his partner Milo. And just, it's so much fun. The dark academia aspect of this is students being murdered, but also there's a lot of magic involved, and it's just so much fun. It's one of my favorites. If you need a Harry Potter replacement, this is one that I would go for. It's so good. Yeah, I love Dorian being a grumpy asshole and just him loving his students, but trying to not let them into his private life. It's just so much fun. Again, one that I would highly, highly recommend. Next up I have Cemetery Boys. This is one of my favorite books with a trans main character. This is following Yadriel, who is a trans boy, and he is from a family of Bruheks, which are witches, and he just wants to have his coming of age ceremony where he is granted his magical powers, and his family doesn't know how to treat him because the women in family are treated one way, men are treated a different way, and they have different magics, and Yadriel is trans. So he doesn't fit into either of those boxes. So Yadriel goes off on his own with his best friend and cousin to do his coming of age ceremony by themselves, and he accidentally summons the ghost of a recently murdered classmate, and they try to figure out how this classmate died and also find where his body is, and maybe just, falling a little bit in love with the ghost of your dead schoolmate. And it's such a good book, and the second book is coming out in 2026 sometime. I'm not sure if it's either spring or summer, but keep an eye out for it because this book is so good, and I can't wait for the second one. Next up I have a Ferry, Bones and Gold. This is the first book in the Soulbound series, and this is one that I absolutely adore. This is my current top favorite, or one of my top favorite urban fantasy series. This is following Patrick Collins, who is the magical equivalent of an FBI agent. His soul is owned by the gods, and the gods like to interfere in his life every chance they get. So Patrick is sent to New York to prevent the killing of a god, and also he stumbles upon a werewolf that he has an instant connection with, and they inadvertently get their souls bound together, and they fall in love real hard, and just they're so sweet together. But also this has migraine representation in it, disability representation in it, and it's one of my favorite urban fantasy series that I've ever read, and it's one that I would highly, highly recommend. Next up I have My Noisy Roommate. The Roof Over My Head comes with monsters and a hottie. This is following Ozaki, who had just signed a lease for a new apartment, and the day that he's supposed to be moving in, there's a tragic accident in the apartment building, and I think something the whole apartment building flooded, so he is left without a home, and then he is offered a job as well as a place to stay eventually, but there's just one catch. The houses that they're staying in are haunted, and he has a roommate, Nigio, who is kind of an exorcist, and together they're supposed to be exorcising ghosts, or at least finding new homes for these ghosts to go. So they're basically ghost negotiators and rental agents for these ghosts, and they kind of start maybe a little tiny bit of falling in love with each other, but they also have opposite powers where they can talk to ghosts. So one draws ghosts to them, the other can talk to them, and together they can negotiate new rental agreements for ghosts and help the ghosts move on to new places. And it's very much Ghostbusters light, and it's just really, really fun. Then the last book I'd like to recommend is going to be Smash and Grab. This is the first book in the Relic series. This series is following Dinosaur dinosaur shifters. So I know it sounds a little out there, but this is really, really fun. So this first book is following Dalton, who is a Utah raptor shifter, and it's also following Simon, who is a paleontologist just trying to work on preserving a fossil when some guys from a South American mafia family decide that they want this fossil for their boss. And Dalton is there because he works with Relic, which is a vigilante fossil preservation society. And basically it's Dalton's job to protect the fossil, but also he kind of likes Simon, and he takes Simon and the fossil and they go on the run for a while. And like, Dalton is a punk with a penchant for the color pink, and like, who doesn't love a punk or a pink punk dinosaur shifter? This is like so much fun, and also the books are super, super short, and these had me giggling the entire time I was reading it. So yes, it's one that I would highly, highly recommend if you want something a little bit absurd. If you like dinosaurs, if you like Jurassic Park, and you like quirky dinosaur-themed roadside attractions, this is the one for you. Alright, so those are some of my current favorite urban fantasy books. Do you guys have any that you'd like to recommend? Let me know down below. If you like this video, don't forget the like button. If you haven't already but would like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to follow me on social media for more bookish stuff, check out the links down below. Alrighty, bye guys.